Hey, my wonderful, wonderful people, a pleasant afternoon to you. Now, this is a topic that, I suppose the more you educate yourself, I have a slight laryngitis, so the more you try to become as compassionate, but also forthright where needed. And I want to encourage, and this would be to some men and some women. Because sometimes when we make these videos, people tend to personalize it and to feel that we're talking about, we're speaking in the absolute. We cannot. Just as how I don't buy into this thing that there are no true friends. Don't, speak to your friends about your spouses or your man and so on. That's not a true statement because they're going to try and steal them away from you. That is not true in all cases. We have to be very careful of toxicity that has made its way into mainstream culture. There are good people around who will be like fertilizers to your friendships, to your marriages, whether they're single, free, or disengaged or not. So we need to be careful of certain things that we pass down. But we also have to keep the main thing. Women, you have to understand the psyche of men. It's diametrical in a sense. There are universal commonalities that we have as human beings. We eat, we laugh, we may find similar things funny. We may have certain jargons that are similar, certain fads, certain terminologies that are similar, whether you're a man or woman, because we're human, okay? But the thinking of a man is diametrically different from the thinking of a woman, or by and large, They often say that men tend to think with their head, women tend to think with their heart. And that is why we use more of the left side of the brain as women, the more creative, dynamic side, while they say the men use the more logical side, so-called logical. But sometimes your logic seems to be illogical, because if what I'm saying is fake, statistics shows that there are more men in prison than women, and there are more there are more men incarcerated than women, and there are more men in the mental institutions, the mad institutions, if you want to call it, than women. There are more mad men than mad women, because they often say that men can't take emotional pressure, mental pressure, as women can. That's why women tend to stay in abusive relationships, men who cheat, and so on. And don't buy into this nonsense that women cheat more. Nonsense. Just by the testosterone of the man. As one man said to me, all of you man favor bullfrog. When that testosterone rises up in that man, he will go to the bullfrog. Because he can't take the pressure and will release that pressure. While a woman can hold, strain. So, I'm saying all of that to say, women, you have to be careful of getting in relationships with men by just looking at the outward. The outward is very much important, because I believe that you have to be attracted to the person. Don't let any ghost fool you. You have to be attracted to the physiological makeup of the man or the woman. That's significant. I don't care what anybody wants to say. God made us with our looks, and he expects us to maintain it. Esther was a prime example. David, the Bible talked about his handsome look and her beauty, and groomed them, especially Esther for here. So that's key. However, the character must be in tandem with the looks. So, okay, good. So that is why it's important to date for a while. I was even researching, just said, you know what, I'm just going to research how long, what's best to date. And it actually said, when I researched it, it says best to go, like it say, 1 to 3 years, something like that. When I said date, you probably want to incorporate dating and courtship. Dating with courtship in that. You know what I mean? Not just peripheral dating. So it was encompassing dating and courtship. Because people will pretend. But one thing with the red flags, it's like, what do I say? It's like period. It comes, you can't hold it in. When your period comes, it comes on you. Diarrhea, when it comes on you. You can't hold it in. Red flags will show. Red flags aren't always, as you see the stoplight being on red. Sometimes it's amber first before it hits to red. And you see the amber and you say, there's something that And somebody may think it is okay. It may look green to somebody, but you know that this is amber going to red. You have to look at red flags. Anything that just seems off and concerns you, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe he talks too much. Generally, I don't like when a man talks too much. Usually lie. Or maybe have bad breath. I don't know. But usually when you find a man talking too much, I think that there are some things that are relegated for men. Some things are relegated for women. And I'm not talking about a man who is a communicator and teaching communication and teaching the art of speaking, public speaking. We're not going down that road. A man who just mountain a lack and toe-to-toe with women most times are liars. And women, we detest when a man lies. So when you see certain red flags, when he becomes very controlling, because some men have the thinking that women are their property. Yes, it's not just an old adage, but it's a belief that comes down. I even heard a popular one on TikTok saying that women are the men's properties. And I guess they're trying to come from the scripture that says the husband's body belongs to the woman and the woman's body belongs to the man. It really was referring to sex, about not withholding sex from each other unless you're going to come to an agreement or except for fasting and so on. Prayer. You know, with the fasting, with the prayer I'm talking. And it must be for a short time. You have to be careful. Look at red flags, women. Look at if something just seems off. You just say, you know what? Let me just take time with this dating. We're not going to commit to anything yet or take anything from the man yet. We're just watching this thing here. And you go on and you get to know. Probe. Investigate. Don't be like an investigator. You throw him in an investigation room. Tell me this, tell me. No, you don't do that. Make him feel comfortable, but you get to know. Look in his eyes. Look how he reacts to certain things. Listen to the things that he says to you when you're having a good time. Everything matters. Everything counts. Because many of them are going through some mental trauma and they have not dealt with it. A prime example, just look at the roads. You as a woman, bad drive a man. You can bad drive a woman in a she might cuss, but you just move on. But the words, the vitriol, the rancor, the acrimonious words. From you hear me using that language, I can't even use a very common word for you to understand. It is like a man taking a 2x4 and beating you to nothingness. The words that comes from these men, they're horrible. They're crushing. I never dreamed I would live in Jamaica especially and hear language. I remember a man claimed that he was 60. And because I told him he was blocking the wind, if you ever heard the things that man told me, it was unbelievable. And countless women can give countless stories of their experiences. And these men, oftentimes, they have women that they go home to. Now, I hear people talk about they really don't like women. These men, they're not true. Ladies, we have to be careful again with a false hypothesis. It's not a matter of them being attracted to men. They're healthily attracted to women, but they're broken. Sometimes they have anger issues. They have traumatic issues that they have not dealt with. And that is why you see this tug and war where men fighting against women fighting, this tug and war going, the misogyny and the misandrists going at each other. But a lot of these men are mentally challenged. You think I want to one them where you say eat out a garbage on the road? They have no business being in relationships, romantic relationships at this time. They have no business. They're not ready. Something is wrong because they never had healthy mentors. Watch the Bible and not talk. Some want to talk about the Bible now is off. A lot of these stalwarts, they had mentors. They had men guiding them. A lot of them, many of these men in Jamaica and probably elsewhere, they do not. And that is why that 19-year-old bought the gun accident my foot. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of them lines, please.